Hello and welcome to the lecture where we're going to be learning how to create a picture-in-picture functionality in our app. I had a blast making this one. I think Android has absolutely killed this with making this so easy for developers and just a pleasure to use. So the basic idea here is you have an app. This is mostly intended for apps that are streaming video and you want to have that video streaming. You can kind of do this picture-in-picture thing and have it in the bottom corner and still use other apps, but still have that video playing. So let's go ahead and start a new Android project, and let's maybe just call this picture-in-picture fun. All right, and we'll go ahead and create this. We need to have the latest API 26 in order to do this, so make sure you have that selected, and we want an empty activity. So according to my understanding, picture-in-picture was a thing in API 26 with TV devices, but it is now officially available on mobile devices with Android, which is pretty great. So I do want to mention here, I thought of a really cool, because I thought, why would you want to do picture-in-picture if you weren't going to be playing video? And so I kind of was, as I was messing around, I thought about it. And if you were someone who was super into stocks or to cryptocurrency, that you're like always watching the price of Bitcoin, something like that, a pretty funny picture-in-picture app would be showing the price of Bitcoin down in the bottom corner, so that no matter what app it is or whatever you do in your life, you can see to the second updates on the price of Bitcoin or your favorite stock, whatever it is. And I thought, that's a situation when you wouldn't need video, but also if you're that concerned about your investments and stuff, you probably need to be checked into a mental hospital. So with this, let's go ahead and talk about how we can implement this. Like I said, I just think that it was absolutely nailed by Android. So let's go ahead and open up first the visual side of things. We want to make it so that when our user hits a button, they can make the app go into picture-in-picture mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring a button into our project. We're going to have to wait a second here for Android Studio to finish itself up. Come on, there we go. And so I'm just going to take this button and I'm going to put it right below this other button, or the hello world that we have there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit its upper constraint so it is connected to hello world. And we'll go down and change the text of this button to say something like go picture-in-picture mode. Okay, so we've got that button. It's connected to hello world, and I'll go ahead and get the emulator ready to rock and roll here, because that will take a little bit of time to set up. So with this button, let's have it have a proper ID here. I want to go back to Android Studio, and wow, we are really lagging right now. Let's try this again. So I've got the button selected. I'm going to call this PIP button. Okay, and if you don't know, PIP stands for picture-in-picture. Now with this, we want to go ahead. I need to set an on-click for that button. So the on-click, maybe I'll call this like go PIP. So, well, I'd like to do that, but wow, Android Studio right now is just crawling. Okay. I think it's this Gradle build that's killing us. But we'll go ahead and set up the method while we're waiting for that to load. So we want public void, and we'll call it maybe go PIP. We've got to take a view with this. Let's make sure we hit enter on that so we get the proper view imported. And our curly brackets. So it's when the user hits this button, wants to go to picture-in-picture, this is when we want to get things set up. So you will not believe this. This is how easy it is to go into picture-in-picture mode. Are you ready for this? You just type .enter picture-in-picture mode, semicolon. That is it. That is all you have to do. So let's see, we're still having beef with our little friend there, but that's really all we need in order to move forward. So let's go back. I think this is finally ready to cooperate with us. I'm going to type this to be go PIP. That's the name of our method that we had there. And on our emulator, you can see we have the go PIP button. It's not exactly centered, so let's right click and say, hey, you should be centered. And let's try running that one more time now that we got it in place. So And then we'll be able to test out this enter picture-in-picture mode. Now, I'm not sure why this is crossed out. I got the message that this was deprecated, but the research that I did was showing that this was new to API 26, not that it was deprecated, and the functionality is still completely there. So I'm not sure why that's the case, but everything was working for me. So look at that. The button here is working, and if we go ahead and click on this, boom. Well, it says PIP has stopped. Let's go ahead and see what problems we got going on here. So this is the problem, is that we didn't specify that this activity can handle picture-in-picture. So not only do you have to do this, you have to specify that you can handle picture-in-picture. I guess I oversold the simplicity of things. So I'm going to go into our Android manifest. I'll go ahead and open up that file. And there's a few changes that we want to make inside of here. And so let's go ahead and we want to, with our activity here, set a few options to say, hey, we can handle this picture-in-picture stuff. So one of them is going to be Android, and we are looking for resizable activity. So scroll down until we can find resizable activity. There we go. We want to set this to true. Another option that we want to set here is the supports picture-in-picture. So we're going to do Android, scroll down to our S's and say this supports picture-in-picture. We're going to say that is true as well. And then the last one that we want to do is Android, and we want to do config changes. And we want to set this equal to a couple of things. So one of them is going to be screen size, and then we're going to do a straight line and then say smallest screen size. We also want to do screen layout, another line, and then say orientation. Okay, so make sure when you're doing these that this is in part of the activity tag here for your main activity, not part of the application. Don't get it mixed up with these other ones. Have it down here with this. But with those in place, you should now see picture-in-picture work without things crashing. Hopefully I won't embarrass myself this time. So app opens up, I hit the button, boom! Look at that. How cool is that? Our little thing showed up down there. And if we click this, it's going to give us the option to open it back up. And we hit that again, boom, it shrinks down. Now we have an issue here, a couple issues. One is we have still the bar showing up there at the top. And for a second you could see the button, but like nothing is clickable inside of picture-in-picture. The only thing you can do is have it come back to life. And so, in fact, I think we should make it so that when we go into picture-in-picture, we get rid of this top toolbar, we get rid of the button, and maybe even for fun, we'll change the text here on the text view. So let's go back. I want to make sure our text view has an ID, and yes, it does, text view. So let's go into some coding. Now, we do get some information whenever we're trying to go into or out of picture-in-picture mode. There's a function that's called. And so we're just going to type out here on picture, and it should be the first one that pops up, on picture-in-picture mode changed. So this will alert us whenever we are going into picture-in-picture mode or out of it. And the way that we can tell whether we're going in or out is this is in picture-in-picture mode. So we're going to do an if statement like this, and we're going to check that is in picture-in-picture mode. And so if it's in the top situation, this is where we are saying we are going into picture-in-picture. And the else situation here is that we are going out of picture-in-picture. And so those are the kind of two situations. So if we're going into picture-in-picture, like I said, we want to get rid of the button and we want to get rid of the toolbar there. And also for fun, we should probably change the text. So in order to do all those things, we have to have access to them. So let's go ahead and first get access to our text view. I'm going to give this the name of text view and say this is equal to find view by ID, r.id.text view. Excellent. And let's get also access to that button. So I'm going to say PIP button is equal to find view by ID r.id.pip button. Okay, so now that we have access to those two, the first one is we want to just get rid of the button. So we're going to set its visibility to blank, basically. So we're going to say set visibility, and we're just going to type in capital invisible. So that turns into view dot capital all caps invisible, and that will get rid of it. All right. The next thing that we want to do is we want to get rid of the action bar up at the top. So we're going to say get support action bar dot, and then we just want to do a hide. Okay, to say let's get rid of this. Then just for fun, let's go ahead and change the text view text. I mean, this is completely unnecessary, but let's have it, for example, be like it was a Bitcoin thing, right? So this is going to show the price of Bitcoin, and so maybe we'll say Bitcoin just broke 10,000, so we'll have it be some random amount of Bitcoin here. We'll go ahead and put that in. So now when we're going into picture-in-picture mode, we're going to change the text, we're going to get rid of the action bar, and we're going to get rid of that button, and hopefully it'll be that much easier to read. So we'll go ahead and run this. I guess you could even want to, this text view might look a little bit small, so you could change it so that it's going to be a little bit bigger so that people can read that all the bit better. But look, we go ahead, we hit that button, boom, look at that. It shows us that price. Isn't that cool? Again, this would be the weirdest app in the world, but kind of a cool example since we don't have video to play. But you know, we have one issue, and that's when we come back to bring the app full screen, well, we no longer have the action bar. We no longer have that button that says go into picture-in-picture, and I'd kind of like to change this back to hello world. So to do that, you can probably guess, we just need to reverse everything that we did here. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Rather than invisible, we're going to change this to visible. Rather than hide, we're going to change this to show. And rather than having this be some crazy Bitcoin dollar amount, we're going to say hello world. Okay. Again, if you wanted to change the text size on things, you could, edit this text view to change the font and whatnot. But let's go ahead and run this, and we'll see if we can get this rolling. Okay. So here comes the app. We are going to go into picture-in-picture mode. Look at that. Changed everything just like we were hoping for. We hit it again to make it full screen, and it brings back that button, the top action bar. Pretty awesome stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed learning about this. Again, I just think it's so simple how all this works. We just have to, at some point, call enter picture-in-picture mode. We've got to have this function where we can, handle some design changes when we're moving in and out. And we have to, in our Android manifest, say which activities are allowed to do picture-in-picture mode. So, and there's all sorts of cool, neat tricks that you can do to make it so that if you're in one particular activity and someone hits the home button from there, that it's, saying, oh, they probably want to have this go into picture-in-picture mode. You can automatically do it without the user hitting a button. All sorts of fun stuff that you can do, but I just at least wanted to show you the basics here. So hope you enjoyed that. I've still got more to learn.